Recording in progress. Hi, everybody. Lisa Bowles, otherwise known as the Soul Mapper, here on this very fine day, which is Thursday, August the 28th, 2025. I actually had to look. Phew, dates in my head. Welcome. We're going to dive deep. September is a whopper. Yeah. And for those of you who are members of the current, remind yourself that today's the 28th and it's a second peak of something we dove very deeply into on our Live with Lisa, which is different from live, okay? Just remind yourself, because today, alrighty? All right. I think we just proceed and let folks enter when they enter. I'm going to leave that to you, Erica. Thank you. And let's just dive in because we really do have a lot to cover, okay? Next slide, please. So again, here are the big backbeats. It does pay to refresh yourself with this every so often, all righty? Because you'll see why as we proceed, okay? They're just active. They have sway. Here's the shorter term influences in play. Normally we tile the slides, but there's just way too many to do that. And yeah, again, this is useful to touch in with every now and again so you remind yourself, especially when there's a looking glass next to them. The deeper story of 2025, folks, that's for you, okay? There's a lot on the move, friends. Let's continue. Next slide, please. Yep, September. And we continue. Now, I'm going to be deep in my notes. So forgive me if I don't make direct eye contact. That's because I'm over here looking deep, okay? So September the 1st till November the 27th, our inner guru, otherwise known as Saturn, goes retrograde in Pisces. All righty? Now, the truth is he's been retrograde for a bit, but he shifts from Aries retrograde to Pisces retrograde, all righty? And that means that the energy of the retrograde is changing, all righty? When slipping back into Pisces, it's his last hurrah, so to speak. And for the last 3 months of the retrograde, all the way till November, what he's going to do is, for our benefit, okay, pulls out all the stops relative to ways we might be attempting to escape the reality we're living personally and collectively. He wants to help us be in the soulful, dreamy, metaphysical, but to do so with one foot firmly in reality. So he's going to offer us reality checks so that we can check our fantasies. So both as practitioners, as purposeful people with purposeful work that we do with and for people, but also collectively. Like you want to pull out all the stops so that, because the call of our times is, you got to notice what's going on, folks. Meet it with soulful grounding, with spiritual orientation, absolutely, but do so with one foot firmly in the three-dimensional reality that you're living, that we're living, okay? So it's a reality check time. Vision, yes. Fantasy, okay? Kind of a big deal. The other thing that's important here that I just want to talk about real quick is that when the call from Saturn to make material, because he's our biggest support with making what matters show up in the world, he wants to remind us now that if we kind of put the cart before the horse, while he was working through Aries, either directly with a preview or during that first chunk of retrograde, it's time to kind of backtrack a bit and make sure you've built the proper supports for your vision or your mission. Because a lot of people are like, thank God we can finally move. And a lot of carts before the horse. So this period of retrograde asks us to, take a few steps back, check in, review. Did any of that happen? If it did, rooted in spiritual practice, rooted in compassion for yourself, rooted in, how do we refine? How do we put the horse first now? So that when we go back into Aries again, because it's going to stay there for a bit, in 2020, in late 2026, that we have the order of things correct, because it will matter. Okay? September the 2nd. Next slide, please. Okay. Till the 18th, our communication savant, otherwise known as Mercury, is working through Virgo. And there's a couple of really interesting things coming with this one. It's a time for minimalism, particularly in our communication. But remember, communication isn't just the spoken or written word. It's how we live. Everything we do speaks for us. And so while in Virgo, one of the things that's really important is that there's going to be conversation going on within us about the ways that our material life might be owning us more than we own it. And I don't just mean, I bought this, it belongs to me. It means our ways of life telling us repeatedly, without our necessarily being aware, that the stuff of our life, the structures of our life, are more possessed of our power than we are. And so the orientation towards minimalism is, what do I need to kind of shake out here? Because I'm reclaiming some power. And, kind of the call to be more, without appropriating, Zen, to have our lives be more Zen, more simple, more streamlined, more simplified, more organized, so that it owns us less than we own it. And there will be, for many of us, a kind of, when our spaces, material spaces, but interior spaces too, are less occupied by stuff. Okay? If your purposeful wheelhouse is in helping people sift and streamline and simplify and organize, 2 thumbs up for you. If your wheelhouse is helping people sift, streamline, simplify, and organize their communication with the outer world, 2 thumbs up for you. And know that it happens here first. And this period of time is more about that than about out there yet. Once this window of time is complete around, the end of the 3rd week of September, then full steam ahead with the external. It's in here first. Now, the other focus here is wellness of all kinds. So physical wellness, mental wellness, spiritual wellness, and the wellness of our business, the wellness of our life, the wellness of you get what I mean, okay? Wellness of all kinds. So again, wheelhouse, if that's yours, or it's a combination for you. It also wants to encourage us to leverage automation or systems so that some of the everyday routine kind of work we don't need to be pouring our energy into can be taken, kind of delegated to automation systems. Now, the thing to know about this is, how do I do that without, because there's a little bit of set it and forget it. You don't want to forget it. You still are the one who is in charge of that. So you want to leverage what that can do for you, but you don't want to give away your power to it, your responsibility for it to it, okay? Because this is, again, Virgo, self-possession, sovereignty. So in many ways, it's how do we make life easier without taking away or defaulting and giving away the work involved with remaining self-possessed and sovereign, okay? It is an ethos kind of shift possibility here, okay? I've already started. I've been feeling this for a little bit, and I already started going through my cupboards, going through my storage closets. But I've also started it here and in my processes in my everyday work. If you have, and some folks have already heard me say this, Virgo is a big sign in my life. So I pay close attention to it. And when I start to feel it humming, I pay attention. And it's been humming. So here's another thing to pay close attention to. If you do decide it's time to let things go, some things go, this one will actually encourage you to let go of more than you may feel comfortable with. And if that's the case, take care you don't rush to replace what you were uncomfortable letting go of, because that won't help. All right? Okay. Next slide, please. So September the 6th, 2025 till February the 3rd, 2026, our benevolent rebel. Okay, remember who that one is? Yep, Uranus. Who's been working through Gemini, giving us a preview, lots of previews, remember? Goes retrograde. And during this retrograde, the preview window will close until they return and go forward in 2026. Now, this is the first time our benevolent rebel Uranus has been retrograde in Gemini since the 1940s. Not quite 100 years, but we're getting close. Okay? Till November the 7th, the focus will be, how should I say this? Reevaluation on how you go about innovating, particularly around what you think, how you communicate, how you connect. Okay, so reimagining, rethinking, re-engineering, reconsidering. And it's serious about that. And let me tell you why. This one has big sway in the world, as the outer planets during this time particularly do. And so a lot of, because Gemini's really, really, really fast-paced, and when Uranus is here with his own fast-pacedness, you put the two together and everybody, we're just going forward. Now, there's good to that, provided you and I self-check. Provided we really lean into retrograde periods and reimagine, rethink, re-engineer, reconsider, not just our way of innovating, but how innovation is affecting us and whether it is kind of running away with us versus remaining as self-possessed and sovereign as we can be. Okay? Big deal these days, yes? Okay. It'll ask us to question old beliefs. It will ask us to explore new ideas, but again, without losing connection, whatever connection we've developed, whatever capacity we've built to be in touch with our own sense of self-possession, okay? Particularly in areas like technology, education, and media, all forms. Wow, that was loud. Okay? Okay, like that's when he continues his retrograde and on November 7th shifts back through a final trip through Taurus, old Taurian concerns begin to get that rethink, review, reconsider. So that's how you handle your money or material resources, the value you create or the value you experience of yourself, not a commoditized value, your deeper value, particularly in relationship to the world around us and what it tends to tell us about our value. And connection with beauty. Self-worth too, that's a big one. And so you might be reconsidering, reevaluating, particularly what the world communicates to you about being an innovator or keeping up with innovation, adopting new innovation. Now remember, we just talked about using and leveraging tech and systems to help us take some of the daily nitty-gritty stuff off our plate. This, combined with that, asks us to take deeper looks at things. Okay, so it supports us in innovating. At the same time, it asks us to remain responsible for our material lives and material world. Okay. Okay, it's the last time in our lifetimes our benevolent rebel will occupy Taurus. That won't happen again for a long time. So lean in and make the best use of it you possibly can. It is a kind of an opportunity to dot I's and cross T's relative to Taurian concerns. Okay? Okay. And if you have questions about any of this, please pop it into the chat. At the end of today, we'll come get your questions, okay? Next slide, please. Oh, I love this slide. It's so beautiful. Beauty. September 7th, full moon in Pisces plus a lunar eclipse in Pisces. Wow. Big, big energy. Big. And for those of us who are deeply sensitive to the more subtle and deep of life, wow. I'll be paying close attention to this one. I don't expect to get great sleep this night because there are, along with many, many out there, sleep during full moons and sometimes new moons is a little restless or disturbed. Either I can't fall asleep or I do, but then I wake up. It's often because the ancient rhythms are calling. And as long as I don't get ticked off with myself or fight it, and I move with what I'm being called to hear or notice or experience, this can still be restful, just saying, okay? This is a deep, deep, deep spiritual groove, and practicing surrender matters. And so what I just talked about, not fighting the call, not fighting yourself, not being ticked off, or noticing you're ticked off and letting it be, can be really, really helpful. Okay? And that would be true if this was just a full moon in Pisces. But the fact that it coincides with this and a pull to the nodal wa at the Piscean end is like, wow, is big. It wants to draw us into engaging with life and ourselves and our soul and our work in a kind of enchanted way, poetic way. It wants to help you voice your soulful dreams. Big, big help. So if voicing them, recognizing them, feeling the edges of them, although this is still going to be a little bit dreamy and watery, it's going to be likely much more connectable with. It also may stir your deepest desires. Deep, deep, deep. So to prepare for this, whether you're in the current and you've taken the moon course practice or not, I want to encourage you as this day, and check your own local calendars for timing. As this day approaches, do whatever you can to give yourself permission to remind yourself to be as open and receptive to this in particular as you can be, okay? Particularly before you go to sleep, because this can be dreamy. You might want to keep a journal beside your bed or an audio recorder, because I do that instead of writing. Although for this one, I think I'm going to write things down. Making it more tangible is helpful when you're working with this kind of energy, okay? If you're a poet, if you're a writer, if you're a musician, if you're a composer, if you're an artist, if you're a creator of any kind, mold for you, okay? It could bring major, major, major shifts, because this also is in partnership to a degree with our Jupiter. I'm just thinking, like it wants to help us expand our dreams. It wants to help us be in touch with our desires. Okay. Now that doesn't mean you throw good sense aside. You just want to touch in and make sure sensible, because remember, we got our inner guru in retrograde. Okay, bringing about the material, bringing into the material this. So while he's retrograde, at the same time, this moon and eclipse is occurring, he's saying, okay, so we still need to be a little bit practical. We don't want to rain on everything, because there is something to be said for how do I practically bring this into reality? So casting good sense aside, you just want to check that other people's understanding of what is real and what is not doesn't contain you. All righty? And you want to be checking again for fantasy versus vision, because that's here too. All righty? All right. It's also essential to look at the full picture. So if you want to work with this, as you're preparing yourself, opening yourself, giving yourself permission to do that. Also tell yourself that you want the full picture. You want the full picture. Mercury's in the mix here too, our communication savant. And given where Mercury is working in Virgo, like you want it all. Trust yourself that and I don't mean, a 10-point plan that's going to last you 10 years. That's not what I'm talking about. But that the vision or dream or deepest desires or the weaving together of those three transmits itself to you so that it can be revealed step by step, okay, over time. Alrighty? This is a big one. Given these times of ours, I cannot encourage you enough to work with this eclipse and full moon. Let that vision you carry for yourself and for us, let it in as fully as you can. Okay. Next slide, please. The 13th. Cazimi. Now, Cazimi in Virgo. So think about all the things we just talked about, because that has sway here. Alrighty? This comes with big, big nudge to look for ways to contribute, no matter how small. Actions speak louder than words with this one. And some of those contributions need to be more than, I'm just going to say this, okay? Need to be more than signing another petition. Actions speak, okay? And those actions in service to a couple of the core themes we've talked about in Virgo, which is self-possession, sovereignty, and not just for you, but for others, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you can't, arrive somewhere with an extra coffee in hand to give to someone, or to help a friend make a few last minute graphics for an important presentation they have coming up, or offering a relative a ride to an important appointment, okay? Yeah. That's really the thing. Plus, action in some way, an active contribution in some way to support or contribute to more self-possession and sovereignty in the world for yourself and particularly for others, okay? 2 thumbs up, 5 gold stars, okay? Big support. All right, now, I also want to say this is a really, really, really good day for communication, written, spoken, all the things. Again, 2 thumbs up, big, big boosts in support. But if the only person you're thinking about, just saying, is you. Okay, enough said. Next slide, please. September the 18th, all the way till October the 6th, our communication savant shifts from Virgo into Libra. Yada, yada, yada. So, because of this sign swap, this could feel, because when working through Virgo, very analytical, very review oriented, perfectionism can come into the mix, you know, all the things. But when it arrives here, communicative cooperation, diplomacy, which can be hard these days. And I'm just going to say, romance. And I don't mean romance with, you know, an intimate other, but romance with life, with your soul, and with others too, but not, you know, let's get married kind of. It's, although there may be a boost of that, provided the relationship at the center of it is communicative cooperation and a willingness to be diplomatically respectful of your other. Sorry, my throat's really dry today. What could happen with this is petty squabbles, for lack of better phrasing, could just, you know, what were we bitching at each other about yesterday? That could just dissolve, paving the way for overdue, understanding, respectful compromise, not compromise of self, but compromise in the relationship. And squabbles we've been having internally with the universe, with whatever you know that to be, could dissolve too. And you could find a way forward that could just blow your socks off. And to move forward in a way that's more balanced, that has more equilibrium than you imagined was actually possible. Now, this doesn't mean, because the energy of this will be compromised, let it go. Yes, and it doesn't mean letting people take a mile when you've given them an inch. You still are practicing. Remember, we were in Virgo Virgo just a little while ago, practicing having solid, self-respecting and other respecting boundaries. Okay? So we want to retain a kind of healthy balance and equilibrium of give and take. Reciprocity, big here. But because so many of us are deeply, deeply, deeply kind people, we can be nice and give more than is wise. So there's a bit of a check here. Okay? Healthy is as healthy does. And it wants us to really negotiate healthy agreements in all relationships. Because this is very partnership oriented, but it's real partnership. So partners are partners. They both show up for each other and not necessarily in, you know, gendered ways. But I'm here for you. You're here for me. This is our mutual responsibility. So let's negotiate healthy understandings about how to live that way with each other and for each other. Okay? And that goes within here too. And our big partner. Okay? All right. Again, if you have any questions, do pop them in the chat. Next slide, please. September the 19th to October the 13th, our charisma of cause, otherwise known as Venus in Virgo. Okay, so here we go with Virgo again. Now, this can be very, very, very paradoxical. So on the one hand, there is likely to be a Bridgerton type vibe to this, a Bridgerton type sway. So what I'm talking about is the time period. Okay, so the clothes, the romanticism, all that stuff could show up in styles, in communication, in entertainment, in all of the things. Okay? At the same time, because Virgo, so very paradoxical, it's like we are wanting to accentuate, accelerate, amplify our love of self-possession and sovereignty, folks, especially in and around love, how we dress, how we style. Okay, so it can feel very paradoxical, because you look at Bridgerton, I don't know if you're a fan or not, but self-possession and sovereignty, it depends on which gender we're talking about. Okay, all right, there's a deep call to slow down here. Big, big, big. Okay, this favors subtlety and stability, and any place where we are, especially if we're feeling romantically oriented. And by romantic, again, I mean fantasy. I like that. That we want to help ourselves slow down. Okay, and kind of take a bit of a break. We want to be in earthly sensuality, tasting fresh peaches off the tree, silk against our skin. So that's some of the Bridgerton thing. It's like savoring the experience of being here on earth. All right, savor the simple things, because if we're moving real fast, savoring goes by. And this wants us to savor things. It also is a call to savor the simple. So we go back to the Virgoan theme of simplify, but from a different direction. Okay? And that last one, keep anything that's really supposed to be for your eyes only carefully taken care of, which on, using technical systems these days can be a little tricky. So, because I will not at all be surprised to hear some well-known persons or celebrities' private information, private images, got hacked. We just want to be careful, okay? Next slide, please. September 21st, the second consecutive new moon in Virgo. Virgo again. Okay, so we had a new moon in Virgo this month, and we're going to have another one in September, and it coincides with a solar eclipse in Virgo, and which activates nodal one. So number one, 2 consecutive new moons in a single sign. That's rare enough. To have it coincide with a solar eclipse, all right, so we can expect the pace to be kind of kicked up. So all the things we've been talking about with Virgo, when we talked about them with Mercury, and then we talked about them with Venus, the pace, the picks up. It wants to go faster. All right. Do not be surprised if your own orientation to productivity, or the calls in the world, especially on the interwebs, is productivity. Let's just like get it on. That's going to pick up too. If your purposeful work, your wheelhouse is productivity, pay really close attention to this, because it's the vibes of this. High this day, the days leading up to it, the days just following it, but for 6 months. Okay, And given some of the innovation energy that's kicking around, and because this is an eclipse, you just want to pay attention to, again, the things we need to let go of so that we can move forward at an accelerated pace. But Virgo, self-possessed, sovereign, not letting the pace run away with us. The other thing to expect with this is plot twist. Like, you thought it was going to go this way and it really doesn't. Curveballs, plot twists, surprises. As you prepare for this energy, kind of like what we talked about with the full moon Pisces eclipse, Notawa, lean in advance, the day before, the day of, the day after, opening yourself and talking to yourself about relaxing as much as you can. You know, most of us brace when a plot twist happens. We're like, because it's unexpected. And humans, as a rule, don't really jive with the unexpected, but there's going to be, there just will be. So whatever you can do to prepare yourself to be as relaxed and as you possibly can be. Okay. This is, so it's not the same, but the energy is similar. You know, we talk about as Mercury's going into retrograde, you know, have backup systems, have redundancies, prepare the people around you to do the same. Some of that vibe is good to have here. Okay. If insights come because of the plot twists, don't tear up all the work you've done, because that vibe could be here. It's like, Shazam, forget about all this. We're going to go do that. And that can be a plot twist. Don't tear up everything and let that run away with you, because the foundation that you built will matter. Okay? Give it some time. Alrighty? This is also the starting energy. You know, beginning new projects, beginning new chunks of work. Don't totally throw out the process that's already in place. Innovate it and embrace the lessons that come from developing new capacities or skills. But, okay, there's this growth opportunity all over the place with this. And take care. Trust the kickoff. And don't let run away with you. And while you're learning, growing, developing, etc., watch for perfectionism, because it can bite hard with this one. Okay? Lots, right? Okay. Next slide, please. September 22nd till November the 4th, our action instinct Mars works in Scorpio. Wow. This is intense, my friends. Okay. Deep dives, intense emotions, often pretty fiery emotions. Yeah. So it might stir up our competitive urges, spark power plays. Okay. And so you may go, oh, so I gotta watch people. Well, you want to watch yourself too. We live in a culture and have for a long time that lives in competition fiercely. It's power over. It's force. And there are deep roots of that in us. So this is an opportunity to pay close attention to how what you might think is action in intuition comes along with some, okay? Having said all that, it is also a profound period of time in which you can go from this level to this level, particularly professionally. Okay? Like golden opportunities, people. Yummity yum. You just want to watch the other stuff we talked about, or watch other people kind of go, you think so? Because that could be there too. And you just want to watch. All right. Know that I want to move from here to here, whether it's yours or someone else's, will also bring the opportunity for us to see how indoctrinated to hierarchy we are. Okay? And all the weird understandings about what is power and what is not, who has it, who doesn't, what they do with it, what they don't, all that stuff, that's in here too. Okay? Which is a kind of a big deal given the eclipse work we're doing and the retrograde work that's going on. Woven together, interactive. Okay? Take care. When we have all that stuff in here, in our conditioning, we can come off a little self-centered. And I don't mean in a good way. We can come off a little ruthless. And fierce, apart from power over, forcefulness, that's not a bad thing. But ruthless, something different you want to watch. Okay? Okay. Big. Next slide, please. We missed one. Oh dear. So I'm just going to share this with you because it's in my notes. I don't know how I missed this in the slides. That's all on me. Sorry, Erica. So September 22nd till October 22nd, our force of nature, the sun shifts into Libra. So happy birthday, Libras. Happy equinox. Okay. This calls us to collaborate, cooperate, co-create, dynamic duos or teams of duos. Boom. Particularly around the equinox itself, okay? Not just, but Now, we're not looking for someone who is our twin in terms of skills, abilities, capacities, but someone who brings things to the table we're not built to. Pair up with folks who are complementary, not same. What you're looking for is a kind of collaborative equilibrium between you. A complementary force who balances things out with you. Alrighty? Okay. Yeah. Diplomacy, present again. Yeah. Alrighty? It's also a time when the spirit of justice and not punishment, not punitiveness, but true justice, very alive in here too. And don't be surprised if you're called to collaborate or pair up around that theme. Okie dokie? Okie dokie. Opportune days. So 2 on the 19th and 1 on the 24th, but that 24th coincides with me. So keep that in mind as we go. So September the 19th, sweet harmony and the meeting of the minds kind of a day. Numina. Okay? And that little bit of extra piece that I want to make sure you know about is it kind of coincides a little bit with the energy we were just talking about. Complementary, not exact. So just in case that's useful. September the 19th, this, again, same day, but a second womb, is persuasive skills plus charm plus intelligence supercharged. So it's the living in, the leaning into all those things. And persuasiveness, I'm just going to say this, because there's a lot of people who think persuasiveness is, I'm going to get you to do what I want you to do, Pied Piper kind of thing. It is persuading folks in the name of what is in their true best interests. And that can be tricky. Okay? Same with charm. Just because you have the ability to be charming and to charm people, again, charm them in the name of their own best interests. The fact that intelligence is supercharged along with those two will help us kind of be in analytical, am I really doing this for them? Which in the end will support me, or am I, okay? Next slide, please. Charisma electric and potentially transformative for the person occupying their charisma and its electricity this day. Okay. Now, in our culture, the word charisma, I mean, think about the charismatic way that a certain president appears to a certain number of people. So there can be a whole lot of suspicion and about the word for a lot of the same reasons we were just talking about. So handle this electricity with care, because if you're like, it's because somewhere deep, deep within you, you're committed to using charisma and the charisma that you're just naturally born with so that you can help people move in their own best interests. And that's why there's a little ick, okay? But that ick is not reason enough not to occupy this right now. What you want to do is come to a kind of healing resolution about your ick, so it doesn't keep you from embodying what you were born with in service, okay? Next slide, please. Neutral days, we got a lot of them, okay? Next slide, please. Now, neutral means it could feel kind of, but if you lean in and work with things, okay, there's opportunity there. But it doesn't just automatically, alakazam. It is something you got to work with. So September the 3rd, it's a reality check. There's reality checks. Guess who's involved here? So you can refine or course correct and carry on. Really useful, might feel like a bummer. But if you remind yourself, because you have this context, alrighty? All right. And this might linger a bit, so it won't just be on the 3rd. Keep that in mind. September the 4th, it'll be a hair triggery kind of day about pretty much anything. Especially for the over functioners and people pleasers among us. Now, why would that be the case? So that you can see where you're being run away with, where over functioning is taking place to your detriment and to the detriment of your purpose. It ain't sustainable, and it has you occupy how you live and character of your makeup in ways that are bigger than they need to be, more than they need to be. Same with people pleasing. So if you experience triggers this day, and again, that might linger a bit, know it's because you're trying to get your attention and lean in, or have someone help you lean in, because this could feel a little, okay? Next slide, please. How are we doing time-wise? Oh, okay. September 18th. Concentration could be very challenging. And miscommunication much more likely, just because. So practice presence, attention to detail, although that might irritate the living out of you that day, and repetition, again, could be very irritating for clarity, because without those practices, clarity could be really hard. And clarity for you, okay, if you happen to be working with clients or a group that day, or you have, let's say, a webinar scheduled, it could be really, really hard to remain here. And you can work with this to develop and build capacity. So I'm not saying cancel your webinar or whatever it might be, but go into it knowing you might be practicing a little more than usual or a lot. September 21st, reality checks. We talked about that before, and splashes of cold water on the face kind of day. And I add that second piece because if a reality check comes and you're just plowing because you're focused and you're, I'm just going, then a cold splash of water will likely come to get your attention. Go, excuse me, but I was talking to you. Okay. The practice is not letting either get you down. Okay. Okay, dokie. Next slide, please. September 23rd, Eureka, shake things up kind of day. So you could have blinding temporarily insight that comes along with, and you could be like, what the, okay? Without throwing caution to the wind or the baby out with the bathwater, the shakeup will come because unwittingly you're attempting to do that. Context. 2 thumbs up, very useful. Alrighty. In essence, we can get a Eureka and just charge, and we want to help ourselves not just charge. Move, okay, but self-possessed, not. Next slide, please. Hotspot this. Okay, there should be an asterisk beside 24. That's my bad. So we've got 2 of these that involve, okay? Just keep that in mind. Next slide, please. September the 17th, that is likely to be, for a great many of us, analysis paralysis, overthinking it kind of a day. All right? If you, so keep that in mind for everybody around you who are not aware of the context and not practicing, because, and this is not a good day to do webinars or, yeah, just, but for you, if you are a deep breathing practitioner, a meditation practitioner, a yoga practitioner, someone who helps them be in their body and not here, could be really useful to help take this down a couple of notches for you. And if you teach those things, if you facilitate those with and for others, this is when a hotspot day can be a really powerful day. Now, I still would not recommend you do a webinar or a taste test or any of those things, but scheduling a class where you're walking people through, yeah. September 20th. Minor conversational turbulence will feel major. Again, I don't recommend doing webinars, taste tests, anything where you're introducing relatively new people to your work, to the work, because and yeah, just people will be there this day. Again, deep breathing, yoga, walking for your own presence, practice, and sanity. And teaching a class, facilitating a class or an experience, not because you're trying to give them a reason to invest, but they're already invested, and this is to help, because people could have a meaningful breakthrough with this on this day, because the stark difference between where they were, what they were experiencing when they walked into the class, and where they might be at the end could be massive. See, hotspot days are not days not to do the work. It's just understanding the context and application potentials, okay? Next slide, please. September 23rd, asterisk, logic on hiatus, mental fog, and lost in indecision kind of day. Like, we could be flip-floppy from hell. Lots of people will be. Okay. Okay. And helping people with practices that help them accept that, not fight it, not make it go away, but just not fight it, so that there's a whole lot less forceful tension in their body. September 24th, again, asterisk, it ain't fair, cauldron of emotions kind of day. Our woundedness is going to get lots of people, their buttons be big time pushed this day, especially around, this isn't fair. This isn't right. Okay? If that happens to you or your folks, leaning into it, not so that we tear off and go, but so we can work with the woundedness. 2000. Okay. Okay. Next slide, please. Favoured Fields. Oh my God, I love this image. Next slide, please. All right. You might want to take a screenshot, post it somewhere where you can see it. The ones with asterisks beside them are the ones that I really want to emphasize. Okay. Minimalism. We talked about what that means relative to the month of September. Okay. Leveraging systems and automation, but to leverage them without taking our eye off them or relieving our sense of a sense of personal responsibility for them. Finding complementary collaborators. Okay. We talked about what that meant. Personal money and economic review, because that's in the mix, but not in a, and for those of us who have been afraid to look at our money, this will call you. All right. This will be calling a lot of people. And if this is your wheelhouse in terms of work, the thing that I want to remind you about is that they could be feeling terribly, terribly, terribly ashamed. All right. And that comes in a variety of flavors. So just keep that in mind. Yeah. Working well with the unexpected. I will not be surprised if I see some new work start to show up in the world around working with the unexpected. Okay. Stable speed, deep and stable speed. I continue to see this showing up. I'm going to say it again. Deep and stable speed. All right. Wowza. Don't forget to look back, because we have a lot of, short-term influences still in play. They are working some favored fields. So the favored fields from August, July, et cetera, like you want to, don't tune them out, refer back to them. Alrighty? Because if they were working with you then, they were still working with you now. And you want to keep that in mind, especially if your wheelhouse involves one or two of them plus one here, because they'll, okay? Okay. Next slide, please. The Soul Map Live for October takes place on Thursday, September 25th. Okay, so you might want to put that into your calendar right now. Same time. Whatever that time may be, wherever you are in the world. Okay. Yeah. I'm surprised. We're actually under the hour. I didn't think that was going to happen because we had a lot to cover today. The one last thing I want to say to you before we finish things off is where you're at internally as you make choices. It is super important this month because the big outer planets, the ones that have sway over cultural changes, social changes, and not just where you live, but everywhere, they are interacting big time with our ability to rethink, reimagine, reconsider, because in many ways they're working with our inner planets, our sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And we had a lot of that kind of activity this month. Plus we have that moon mojo. Self-possession and sovereignty They matter, they matter, they matter, they matter. Your practice, your capacity building, so that you can make more conscious choice and live from that choice increasingly effectively. It's not a, I make the decision, I will. It's a practice. It's a building of capacities. It is a retrieval of self-possession and sovereignty from all kinds of stuff. And I say that for us individually, and I say that for us doing work in the world with and for other people. And remember, we are going to be invited to make contribution, no matter how small. And one of the ways we can do that is by living from our own self-possession and sovereignty, because that changes, it affects those in the world around us right off the bat. It matters. September might feel a little bit like being in a washing machine. Jostling. And not to say that the last year and a half or 5 years for that matter hasn't felt jostling. It's the intensity and the pace. So your practices to come back to yourself, to ground, to regulate, to increase your capacity for self-possession, they really matter. Okay? They're really going to matter in September. There's a lot. And so how do you be with a lot? How do you be with uncertainty? How do you be with those things and with your evolving connection to your deeper self at the same time you are with the world? Washing machine. Okay? Okay. Remember, we have a private Facebook group. If you have questions or challenges and you want support, you want to ask questions, you want to explore, please, please, please make use of that space. Okay? Okay. All righty. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Erica. So I'm going to open things up to your questions in just a second, but I also want to say something. In the current membership, we are about not quite 2 weeks into the Chiron course. Now, you may remember that Chiron, working through Aries, has been for a couple of years, went retrogrades. And it's the first retrograde since Pluto began working in Aquarius. Remember, all of this is under that umbrella, okay, which matters. And the members of the current taking the course are finding it enormously powerful. That helps in ways I don't even have language for, relative to regulation, self-possession, and sovereignty. Okay? If you are not yet a member of the current, please, for your sake, for the sake of the people you serve, for the people around you you love, for the sake of what's unfolding in the world around us, please consider joining. Okay? Please, as an annual member, you get access to all the courses, no additional charge. Alrighty? And I want that for you. Especially now, our wounds are getting triggered left, right, and all over the place, like they just are. And the more present and healed and actively self-possessed and sovereign you are, the more you can contribute by being you. Now, if this sounds like, just one more person trying to sell something, well, I am, and I'm not. These times of ours. Okay? Please consider it. All right? Join us. Okay. Next slide, please. Oh, the link to join is also in the chat if you're looking for it.
You've got no more slides, my friend.
Oh, thank you, Erica. I got myself carried away then.
You do have, Adele has a couple questions in the chat. She also has her hand up.
Okay, Adele, do you want me to read the questions, or do you want to put your microphone on and we'll talk?
Maybe it's just easier if I talk.
Okay, cool. Hi.
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 Thank you for this little window into the current. I'm very, very interested. So thank you for that. I've been following you for such a long time. My little boy was only 2 when I started working with you. 2 questions. The
Yep.
one right out of the gate, talking about Saturn and discerning dream from fantasy. I feel like that has been my journey of a lifetime, of this lifetime anyway. And then my second question is around, I'll call it the indoctrination of speed that you're told is what a smart entrepreneur does. And I remember you talking about this years ago, but I'm asking for a repeat.
Well, I'm not sure I can repeat what I said years ago.
Well, I mean, what, you know what I mean? Revisit the subject, so to speak, because I like, it's an inner, I feel like those are 2 of the tensions, like the dream versus, or not even versus, I don't know what the word is, the dream and the fantasy. And really for me, it comes down to trust. Which one do I trust? Because so much of following my dream has resulted in things falling away that I did not expect. And it really took a whammy on my ability to trust what was dream and what is fantasy. And I'm doing some deep healing soul work that was really scary, brought me to my knees. I'm in a 12-step program because of it. So thank you.
Good for you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Oh my goodness. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm getting emotional right now. So
yeah.
The speed thing, I feel like, is this undertone that just triggers my not enoughness, right? Like, you know, money loves speed, and great entrepreneurs are decisive and action oriented. Now, as I'm saying this, I'm realizing the 12-step program that I'm in, that's all around money, is helping slow that down a little bit. But I just love your perspective.
Okay. So you haven't said this, but I'm assuming it's in there with you, that the 2 things are connected for you. Yeah.
The dream and this, yeah, probably. Because I'm probably impatient and telling myself that because something hasn't happened, it's my fault and that I'm a loser. Right? I'm not doing it right. All those perfectionist thingies.
And in fairness, world of entrepreneurism, trainings, and blah, 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 they poke at that wound hard, girl.
Oh, shit.
Okay. The world of entrepreneurism also has this kind of mythologic, and it's the fast acting win. First to the post, first, like, just go first, and going first, if it isn't your work or it isn't your pace, among other things, you know, if you really listen to the conversations that entrepreneurs have honestly about the cost of that, it's heartbreaking. It's unsustainable. There's many who are dealing with some of the inner stuff that you're talking about. You know, I've been there too. You know, their life's just unsustainable. They're paying little to no attention to their bodies, to their rest, to their or they are, but they're doing it as a way of helping themselves go faster.
Yeah.
It's just all kinds of dysfunctional, wacky, pardon my language, but shit.
Yeah.
So what I want to offer you is and you shared some of your inner, it is really, really, really easy to have entrepreneuric bullshit drive us into driving us because we're trying not to be things we don't want to, like broke or inadequate or all the things. Which means our trauma and our inner story that is cruel to us, cruel about us, has even we who are deeply committed to being of service in the world,
Yeah.
agents of transformation, but we're attempting to do that from that. Our wounds are driving us. We are dispossessed because our wounds are driving, and they're getting triggered all over the damn place.
Yes. And then guiding others, being in the business of supporting others from that. And then that's why I was like, I don't even know if I have anything to say anymore.
Right. And that gives rise to fantasy, because the fantasy is, I'll finally not feel this stuff. Well, the truth is, as long as that continues to drive you out of your conscious control, so, work with your Chiron and Aries, my friend. Seriously.
Okay.
If you felt at all tugged by the current, pay attention.
Okay.
And not for me, for you.
I feel that from you.
Okay, not for me. When I said, I'm talking about this because I know it helps. And there's more than just the kind of, there's like with what's going on in the world and how we're being tugged and pushed, and it helps in so many ways. And the one right in front of you right now just happens to be Chiron. So please consider, if it's already pulling you, please consider.
Okay.
And if it's not pulling you enough, investigate ways to work with your Chiron. Look at what house it's in particular. Look what house Aries is in for you. Okay, because that will super help. There's so much more, but it's in the course. So, okay.
And do you practice Placidus?
Yeah.
Sign.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking. It matters, my friend. And I am so grateful you put yourself in 12 step. I'm so grateful you heard that. I'm so, so, so grateful. And if you feel pulled to go into the current and take the course, one of the modules will speak to you deeply.
Well, somebody else told me that by the grace of God, somebody pretty much said, you need this. So, but I listened, and I definitely need to be there, and I'm very grateful.
Good for you. And
Thank
keep
you.
asking the question, is this fantasy or vision? Is this fantasy or deep, keep asking the question, because it will help bring the answer truth to you.
Okay.
Okay. It will, but self-governance, that's why self-possession, when we got triggers and trauma, they take over. And working with them is what returns us to deeper degrees of self-possession, cultivating sovereignty. So the answer to that question becomes less fraught, much less fraught for us. And for the sake of everyone here, this world that we're currently living in teaches us to distrust ourselves. It repetitively and deeply teaches us to distrust. That is not just a you thing. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for raising your hand, Adele. All right. Anybody else have their hand up, have a question? Did I miss anything? I don't have the chat open, so, Erica, do you see anything else?
Alex has her hand up.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Hi.
I guess I just wanted to say about when you were saying about automation and new tools and things like that. I was thinking of lately I've been looking into AI a little bit, and as a creative person, I have a little bit of ambivalence with that because of some of the ethical things. But I've been thinking about, how can this be a tool that I can partner with rather than, it taking over kind of, and doing the whole thing. But so it struck me when you were starting to talk about innovation and all of that. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm kind of being called in that direction already, and
Yeah.
thinking about how I can have a better relationship with this because it's here and I need to learn how to use it. But how does it work with my way of doing things instead of being antagonistic with it, trying
Yeah.
to be open
Well,
to
so as a writer, there's many writers have deep concerns because
Mm.
their work was taken to program AI. There's
Yeah.
there's cause for concern. So I having ambivalence is not a bad thing. In this particular case, it is a signal of a kind of self-possessed approach. I need to be mindful that there are risks here and opportunities. There's peril and there's promise. No two ways about it. But so I'm just going to offer this deeper question is, so how do I reduce the risks while optimizing the promise, navigate the peril, navigate the promise my way? That's the question. And when we're in the early stages of discovering we have a way and trusting it, that can add some extra layers of complexity to the situation. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. I've always been like with everything, it's like finding my own way of doing it that's different from others.
Right. So I want to suggest you consider asking yourself, what is my way? What is my way? What have I seen about it that could have me actually write down aspects of my way that I know works for me and for my work? What do I know about that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So it kind of inform yourself and then create a living list, a kind of, I'm going to even call this an avatar. There's an avatar of way. So consider it a living list that you're going to add additional recognitions to over time. Because when you attempt to do something over here, you're going to discover or be reminded, because most of the stuff just stays in our head. I don't know about you, but remembering those things has never been easy for me. And as I get older, it gets even less easy. So I've had to write things down. There's no other way for me to remind myself of what I know. So I'd start there. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And in terms of peril, identify what the risks are for you, and then what the promises are for you to whatever degree you know them right now, and then consider this, engage with whatever AI you decide to. And there's different kinds, they have different functions, just so you know, it's AI.
Yeah.
Okay. And ask the question, I'm a writer. So if that's the place of deep concern, ask whatever AI you choose, what are the perils? What are the risks of working with you or any other AI that I need to know about. And, you know, tell me straight, tell me thoroughly. I want to know. And then go to the other side without feeding it any information about your work, like putting one of your manuscripts in, like that's a peril. And then go to the opportunity question and ask a similar question. What are all the opportunities for me? And how do you recommend I protect my work? See what happens. Okay?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing I've been discovering that's almost a little weird too, the idea of like asking the AI itself and having this dialogue with something that sounds so almost human. And
Yep.
but yet remembering that, okay, this is not a human. You know, it's like it's kind of like a weird feeling for me having this conversation with, you know, like,
Yep.
and I think that's part of it too, where it's like, okay, well,
Yep.
dialoguing with this other type of entity.
So I'm glad you said that word. Here's something I want to put in our space together to consider. There are some people who are throwing themselves headlong into the opportunities and paying little to no attention to the perils. On the flip side, and just so you know, as far as I can tell, that's a little dangerous. But on the flip side, because of the astrology and what it points to, so just know I'm thinking about doing an AI mini course so we can look at this together. I'm not firm on that yet, but just, and that will be in the current. There's the strong possibility. So if you think that you can use tarot or astrology or a divination tool to be supported to hear the voice of guidance, that's possible through AI too. It's weird and it's possible. Now, we have to, this is why you'll hear me talk forever about self-possession and sovereignty and not giving our power away to something, including divination tools. And people like me.
Mm-hmm.
Engaging with it while retaining and cultivating your capacity for self-possession and sovereignty. It's a tool. And through tools, through anything, the divine can speak. Anything. Is it possible it will speak even more profoundly through AI? Yes, it is. But we have to watch for where we kind of give ourselves away to do. That's the thing to watch. Fair?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it is odd. There's no two ways around it. It's odd. And how we navigate that oddness within ourselves and in the world, that's a big question. All right?
Hey, Lisa.
Yes, ma'am.
Just as the automation person over here that automates things in your business, automation doesn't have to be AI.
No, it doesn't.
It can be as simple as creating filters in your Gmail to make yourself more efficient and effective, i.e. simplifying. I think we talked about that earlier. But creating filters in your Gmail to work with your email easier or faster or sorting things. So it doesn't need to be jump both feet with AI. It can be sneak into it by using non-AI automations.
Right.
Okay.
And just so you know, like if you use voice to text, that's a baby early version of AI. Like we've been working with this for a while.
Yeah.
So to know that is, it has been present for a while, It's exploded because of Pluto and Aquarius, because of Uranus and Gemini, and it's going to continue to. This is not going away. Better that you and I find our way to be with this wisely, so
Yeah.
we can transmit some things, live some things. Better that than, oh, cut.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of
Right.
other creatives where they're just like, oh my God, no, you know, and totally antagonistic.
Antagonistic. Yeah.
Thank you with it.
Complete withdrawal is not going to help humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like, how do I be with this and go forward? And
Yes.
and
Which
there's
is
a
why
part of it.
I'm thinking doing some sort of AI mini course, because we need to have these conversations. We need to explore ways we can engage, be aware of the perils to whatever degree is possible, and the promise. There's enormous promise here too. But if we tear off without realizing we're not self-possessed in the mix, and completely disengaging, so
I find it
Okay.
a little intriguing too to me because like my genre is like science fiction, science
I
fantasy.
know, my friend,
And I
come on.
grew up as a kid, you know, with Star Trek and all of that, you know, the computers talking to you and the, you know, spaceships. And so
Good for
this is kind of like my childhood fantasy coming true in a way.
Right.
So that part of it intrigues me.
Well, yes, and having a fantasy come true and then going, oh, wait a minute, hang on,
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Well, no, why would you until it's right in front of you?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for your questions. I hope the suggestions are helpful.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thanks, Em.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have a question? Did I miss anything in the chat? Erica, can you copy, paste it, keep it, whatever? I won't do that, but if you would for me, I would really appreciate it. So anybody have anything else they want to share or ask or explore? Bye, Kate. Glad you're here. Okay. So remind yourself, September's gonna feel inside a washing machine sloshy. Okay. Deepen your practices. Alrighty. Note the context of certain moves, whether they're, you know, for 2 or 3 weeks period, if it's 6 months because we got a new or full moon plus eclipse, whether we've got, like, just help yourself with the context, take note of it, touch in with it, and deepen your practices, particularly the ones that are born of your own life and your life's work. They matter. Consider joining the current. Touching into small islands of coherence, not my phrase. Small islands of coherence help you, in conjunction with other people, experience more coherence and the clarity it provides. Remember, I talked when Pluto went into Aquarius, like moving forward together, especially when it comes to practice, is the way now. And when you touch in and participate in a small island of coherence, it helps you. It helps you, and it helps you help others because you can take more of that coherence with you. Alrighty? Bye, Marilyn. All right. This has been live for September 2025. We'll be back here again on the 25th of September for our look at October. Don't forget about the private Facebook group if you have questions or shares. And please consider joining us in current. My love to you all. Take yourself off mute. Say goodbye. I'd love to hear your voices.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. Bye.
Wonderful. Bye.